On this slide, I start out by labeling all the information that I have. I know that each square weighs 4 grams, so I'm going to go ahead and label each square with a 4. I know that each circle weighs 1 gram, so I'm going to go ahead and label each circle with a 1. Now I want to add up everything that I have on the left side, and I have 4 times 4, which is 16, plus 2. On the right side, I have 4 plus 4, which is 8, and 1 plus 1, which is 2. And then I also have 4 triangles. I'm going to call them 4x. Now I'm going to simplify. 16 plus 2 is 18, and 8 plus 2 is 10 plus 4x. Now I have a two-step equation. I'm going to solve for the variable by subtracting 10 on both sides. Okay, I get 18 minus 10 is 8 equals 4x. I'm going to finish it by dividing both sides of my equation by 4, and x is equal to 2, which means my triangle weighs 2 grams. If you got number 1 wrong on the test, this is the problem you need to complete on a separate sheet of paper. Number 2, if you got number 2 wrong on the test, I'm going to complete number 2 and tell you how to solve it. So the first thing I need to do is I'm just going to go through each step and try and figure out what's happening. So step number 1, I noticed that 12 changes to 6, 6 changes to 3, and 10 changes to 5. And I see a pattern that 6 is half of 12, and 3 is half of 6, and 5 is half of 10. So I know that 12, to get from 12 to 6, I had to divide by 2, and that holds true for the rest of them. So if I'm dividing by 2 on step 1, I look for divide by 2. I find it over here, and this is step 1. Okay, step number 2, I want to figure out, okay, I have a 6x here and I have a 6x here, so that's the same. But I have a minus 3 here, I have nothing here, and I have a 5 here and I have an 8 here. So I must have added 3 to both sides. Okay, so add 3 on both sides, and that is A over here. So I want to put step 2 here. And my final one is step 3, and it is multiply both sides by 6 or divide by 6. The 4 over 3 is just a reduced version of 8 divided by 6. All right, so if you missed number 2 on the test, any part of number 2 on the test, and you would like to correct it for a better score, go ahead and do number 2. Just go ahead and write down below here. So you need to copy all 3 steps, and right below the step, just write what do you think is happening in each step. So copy step 1 and write what do you think is happening in step 1. Copy step 2, write what you think is happening in step 2. Copy step 3, write what you think is happening in step 3. Okay, number 3. Number 3, I'm using the small chart that I gave you to glue into your notes. So I know that I have 3x plus 8 and I have 3x plus something. So for no values, I know that I can't have the exact same thing on both sides. So I know that I need to have a different constant than 8. So I have a constant of 8 here. Over here, I need anything else besides 8. So over here, I need anything else besides 8. I'm going to put a 5. You could put any other constant besides 8. Okay, for all values of x, I need both sides to be exactly the same. So if it's 3x plus 8, I also need 3x plus 8. Okay, and then for the last one, I need just one value of x. So one solution is when I have different coefficients of my variables. But I have the same coefficient. So in order to change that, I need to add another like term so that it would combine with a 3x. So I choose 2x. You could choose 5x or 7x or anything else with an x in it. So it would change the coefficient. If you missed number 3 on the test, you need to go ahead and complete this problem. Please copy it down and fill in this, this, and this. You need an answer for each one, for all values, for no value, and for one value. Okay. Okay, so this is number 4 on the test. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call this A just so that we can call it something. I'm going to go ahead and solve it. So my first step is I'm going to add 5 on both sides. These cancel out. I get 3x is equal to negative 3 plus 5 would be positive 2. To finish solving this, I divide by 3. And I don't want to change it to a decimal, so I'm just going to leave it exactly like that. Okay? All right. So B, I see parentheses, so I know the first thing I need to do is go ahead and distribute. I'm going to distribute this negative 5. All right, so I get x minus 5x plus 5. Okay, here I see another negative on the outside of parentheses, so I get x minus 2x plus 3. I see something that's really easy to get rid of right off the bat, so I see an x here and an x here, so I'm going to cancel them out. Then I want to get my variable terms together, so I'm actually going to add 5x to both sides of the equation. So this side cancels out. I'm left with 5 here. And negative 2x plus 5x is going to give me 3x plus 3. My next step is I'm still trying to isolate the variable, so I'm going to subtract 3 on both sides. So I get 2 equals 3x. Very similar to the other problem, which is interesting. I want to divide both sides by 3, and my final answer is x equals 2/3. So if you missed 4A, which would be the first problem under number 4, I need you to complete this problem if you want to do the retake. Copy this problem down on your paper and solve it. If you miss 4B on the test, I need you to copy this problem down on your paper and I need you to solve it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and solve these two problems. Going to cut my paper in half here, change my color. All right, I have an equal sign here. All right, I really don't like fractions. I would prefer to get rid of them. That's my strategy. That's the way I'm going to solve it. So I am going to multiply every term by a 3. When I say every term, I mean every single term. So this gets multiplied by 3, this gets multiplied by 3, and this gets multiplied by 3. Everything touching here is a term, so that's one term. My minus 6 is a term, and this stuff on the right side is also a term. Okay, so when I multiply by 3, this cancels out. I'm left with just a 1. So I don't need a 1, so I just leave it as, I don't need to distribute a 1, so I leave it as z plus 4. Okay, negative 3, or 3 times negative 6 is minus 18. This and this cancel out because a 3 multiplied and divided cancels out. So I am left with a 2 here. There was a 2 on top of the fraction that didn't cancel out. Okay, so I still need to deal with that. I cannot forget about it. I see parentheses, so I know that my next step is going to be go ahead and distribute. So I get 10 minus 2z. I'm going to put some lines through my z's here because otherwise I'm going to get them confused. Okay, so I have a plus 4 and a minus 18 on this side that are like terms. Okay, so plus 4 minus 18 is negative 14. Okay. All right, I want to get my variable terms together. So I'm going to add 2z to both sides. So this ends up canceling. I get 3z minus 14 equals 10. I'm going to add 14 to both sides of my equation. I get 3z is equal to 24. Divide both sides by 3, and I get a positive 8 as my answer. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and solve D. All right, I'm going to start with like terms on the left side. I have negative 4x and negative 5x, which gives me negative 9x. Okay, my like terms on the right side are positive 6 and negative 30, which gives me negative 24. I'm going to bring everything down to the next line. All right, my next step is I want to get my variable terms together. So I want to add 9x to both sides. So on this side, I end up with 9 because these cancel. I get 11x minus 24. I want to add my 24 to both sides. So I get 33 equals 11x. Divide by 11, divide by 11. X is equal to 3. Okay, so that is C and D. So if you miss C, please complete this for your retake. If you missed D, please complete this problem for your retake. Okay, last problem that I'm going to go ahead and solve for you. For each equation, determine whether it has no solutions, exactly one solution, or it's true for all values, and has infinitely many solutions. If an equation has one solution, solve to find the value that makes the statement true. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and simplify both sides of the equation and see if I can figure this out. So when I simplify A, I get negative 5x and negative 3x. I'm going to change my color here. It gives me negative 8x plus 2 equals negative 8x plus 2. Exactly the same on both sides. So I know that it's going to be all values. Okay, part B. I get negative 5x minus 3x again, which is basically the same thing. So I get negative 8x, okay, minus 4 equals negative 8x plus 2. Now, my coefficients are the same, but my constants are different. I know that this is going to have no solution because my constant's going to cancel out and I'm going to get two numbers that are not equal. Okay, this last one here, I'm going to go ahead and simplify. I get negative 9x minus 2 equals negative 8x plus 2. All right, now I know that my coefficients of my variable term, this one and this one, are different. So there's one solution. So I'm going to go ahead and solve it. So I'm going to add 9x to both sides. So I get negative 2 left over, but this cancels out. Negative 8 plus 9 is 1x plus 2. I want to subtract 2 on both sides. I get negative 2 minus 2 gives me negative 4 equals 1x. Basically, x equals negative 4. Okie doke. So if you missed number 5 on the test, this is your retake. Please copy all 3. And you need to write no solution, all solution, or one solution. If it has one solution, please solve and find the solution. I just want to remind you to show all work for the retake problems. You're going to be getting half of the original points that they were worth. Show all work. Okay?